Hi everyone, it's Jess here again. I am back to do some more paper-based crafts with you to keep you entertained during this second lovely lockdown. I'm sure you're all bored, looking for something to do. We've got some paper Christmas decorations to make today. Of course you can use them for other celebrations and other times of the year. I've got three different ones. I've got this fan shape, which is really cool, and you can hang up on your walls or on your Christmas tree. We've got a ball shape, which is quite simple and easy. You can do lots and lots of them quite quickly. And we've got this super cool honeycomb style ball, and I've got a simple version of that as well. So there's loads of different things here you can try, and each of them have got variations, so you can have a simpler, quicker version or spend a bit more time on them if you like. They're all made of recycled paper. I'm using old magazines and catalogues, that sort of thing, because they've got lots of interesting colours in. Nice quality paper, it's not too thin, it's shiny and glossy. You can use anything that's junk, so takeaway menus that have come through your door that you don't want, old books maybe that are falling apart, as long as you're sure that whoever owns them doesn't want them anymore. Anything like that that's a bit interesting, that's not too thin. Newspaper's probably a bit too thin, but anything that's a little bit thicker paper you can use, or any scrap paper, or if you want to make them out of new coloured paper you can obviously do that as well, but not too thick, so we need some nice thin paper for this. So let me tell you what you need to find to make these bits and bobs. I have got a pencil, ruler, scissors and glue. That is probably all you definitely need. You can manage with just these things. Glue stick really is best for this, I think. If you've got wet glue, it might be okay for some of the bits. The silicone based stuff's quite good with paper because it's not too soggy and it doesn't get all your paper wet, but PVA, things like that probably aren't going to work this time. So glue stick's great if you've got it. Maybe double-sided tape will be okay for some of it, but glue stick probably is best. I have also got some string, some ribbon. I like collecting the bits of ribbon off tags that come with clothes. I've got quite a lot of interesting ribbon from doing that. There's some there, look. That's a good place to get bits of ribbon if you can't find any in the house. I have also got some paper clips and some little bulldog clips. You can probably manage without them, but again, helpful. Tape is really helpful. Paper based if you've got it, like a masking tape or a washi tape rather than sellotape. Again, that's probably alright if that's all you've got. Stapler, helpful. And hole punch, also really helpful. I've also got a little bead here as well, if you've got any of them lying around. They're useful for one of the things we're making, but again, not totally vital. So, shall we get started? I'm going to start with a nice easy one. Let's start with the old style ball shape. There you go. It is made up of 7 pieces of paper. I've done this out of an advert in a magazine. So I'm going to find some more interesting coloured paper and show you how that's done. What shall we have? You only need one big piece of magazine paper for this. So you can have a look with me. Oh, that looks nice. Let's take that one. Pretty and floral. I'm going to rip that out. I don't need to be neat about this because we're going to cut it to the right shapes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it in half just to save me some time cutting out strips of paper. There we go, half it is. So I have got templates for each of these strips of paper. You can make templates too if you want to make lots of them, or you can just measure them as you go. There's 4 different sizes, from the longest one So the shortest one. The shortest one is the middle, there. You only need one of those. All the others you need to make 2. So these are about 2 centimeters wide, maybe a little bit over, 2.5. But I am going to use the width of my ruler because I've got a ruler that's a nice width, and that makes it easier to measure each time. As you know, I'm not a huge fan of measuring things. I always seem to get it wrong. So that's why templates work really well for me. I only have to measure once. Biggest one's about 21 centimeters, then 17 centimeters, 15 centimeters, and 14 centimeters. This is not opera size art. It will work as long as each pair is the same size and they're all getting smaller. So I'm going to put those to one side for a minute, and I'm going to cut some strips the width that I want them. Which, as I say, I'm using the width of my ruler because I can, and it's simple and quick and easy. But measure these, draw lines, cut them out with scissors. I'm going to use my knife as well. Again, just because I have it here, and it makes things a bit quicker. You don't have to watch me cut things out for ages. So that's 2. That's 4. That's 6. And 8. I obviously only need 7, but I'm cutting this folded in half, so I'm getting 2 each time. So that's 8. I've got a spare just in case. Okay. And what I'm going to do with each of these pairs, I'm going to have that nice flowery bit on the outside, so I'm going to make that the longest one. This page is not quite as long as my longest one, so I'm just going to cut the edges and neaten them up. Like I say, it's not a precise art. It doesn't have to be perfect every time. I guess it's worth checking that your paper's as long as your longest one, unlike me. So next one, our next pair, 17 centimeters. So I'm gonna draw a line. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna chop it. You can draw a line a little bit smaller, maybe. There we go. That's my 2. That's 17 centimeters. Get my templates out of the way. Christmas cards, old Christmas cards are a really good thing to make templates out of because it's a nice thick card usually, or cereal boxes, anything like that. So we can do all of this with recycled and found materials. We don't need to buy anything or use anything new, which is always good. 15. I've got my ruler there. I've labelled my 2 centre ones A and B as well, so that you can see that they're different. But as long as they're obviously different sizes, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And last but not least, I'm going to get rid of one of them because I don't need it. Let's get rid of the boring one. And cut my centre one to the right length. There we go. I'm going to be lazy and cut that with that one. There we go, perfect. So now I should have 7 strips of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. And I'm going to put them in order. So my short centre one goes inside, one from the next size up, and then another one goes on top. So I've got my shortest one in the middle and a slightly longer one on each side. Hope you can see that. And then next size up, one on that side and one on the other side, so they're both on the outside again. And then finally, longest ones, one on the outside and one on the other outside. So you can see there they're gradually getting longer from the one in the centre, which is the shortest, and I've got 3 on either side, gradually getting bigger. So the simplest way to do this is what I've done here. It's just staple them together, staple both ends. If you've not got a stapler, use your glue stick and put yourself a paper clip on the end whilst they dry, or stuff them in between some books or something whilst you're waiting for it to dry. And then the other side I've also just stapled together. So that's your simplest, quickest way to put these together. You could also do this with double-sided if you wanted to, but you've got to stick together each layer at a time. And also you can put string on that if you want underneath the staple, or tape a little bit of string on. They need to be attached together all the way through. You couldn't tape over the top because you wouldn't get the nice bauble shape that I've got there. So that's your first option. Your simplest option is just to staple them. But I'm going to show you another way of doing it, which means that you can fold it flat for storing it. So if you want to use these for more than one thing, or you're not ready to use them yet, or do you maybe want to post them to people, you can do this trick, and that means you can fold it up and store it flat, because obviously these don't store very well, especially with them being quite thin paper. If you put that in something, you might squash it. So this is one thing I like to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw a little mark at the top. If you have watched my videos, I've been to my workshops, you'll know that this is one of my favourite tricks. Upside down hole punch. I've just got a normal hole punch, and I've taken the bottom off, so the bit that catches the holes, the paper dots that get cut out, so that I can see where the punch comes through the bottom of the hole punch, and that means that I know exactly where my hole is going. So I'm going to put my hole punch over my mark so that my mark's in the middle of the circle there, and I'm going to squeeze, and that way I know exactly where I'm cutting my hole and I don't get the edges, and it's nice and secure in the middle. Yeah, that's it. Punch through all of them, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to line up my strips on the other side. I'm going to forget about that hole for a minute. I'm going to do the other edge. I'm going to make sure all 7 of them are lined up, because I don't want to find that one of them's not got caught in. Let's push that one down a bit. There we go. I think that's everything. There you go. You can always pull staples out if you get this wrong. But that looks pretty good to me. I think they're all there. So, and then I'm going to staple them all together about 1 centimetre up. There you go. Easy. All together. And then at the other end I've got holes in all my strips, but they're not all at the same level. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find a piece of string. You need quite a long piece of string for this. I think this one's about 30 centimetres, a bit longer, 33 maybe. It also needs to be quite wide. It can't be super thin string. What you need it to do is to hold on to a bead. When you put the bead on, you don't want it to slip up and down easily. You want to be able to push the bead along the string or the ribbon and it stay put. So you can test that before you put it together. So put that to one side for a sec, and I'm going to thread my, there we go, ribbon through each hole. Make sure I'm not missing any. So 1, 2, 3, and then my centre one, which is the shortest, and then the next one up, and the 6th one, and then the final one. So I've got my ribbon threaded through all of those. I can pull them all together. There we go. And pull my ribbon through so that it's just about in the middle, and you can see I've got that shape there, which is great. That's what we want. And I'm going to find the ends of my ribbon. I'm going to fold it over a bit to make it easier to thread my bead on. There we go, and then my bead's going on. And then what I can do is I can pull my bead tight to the paper bauble and hold it in shape. And then when I want to store it, put it away, fold it flat, you can pull the bits of paper along the ribbon and it should flatten out. This is why you need quite a long bit of ribbon. It doesn't work if you've got a short bit. There you go. I'm being quite careful with this because I don't want to damage any of the paper. There you go. So nice and flat. and then you can open it up, push your bead down and get that shape back. So all you need to do now is put a knot at the end of your ribbon so that your bead's not going to fall off, and so that you can hang it on wherever you want to hang it. And that's it, that's your first one, your first paper bauble. As I say, you can make templates so you can make lots and lots of these, do it over and over and over again, make lots of strips, connect them all together, turn them into a garland. That would be really nice to hang on your walls. Lots of options with that one, really, really easy, simple. So let's show you the next one. Let's do the paper balls. I've lost one, there it is, on the floor, rolled away. So this is based on a traditional style of hanging Christmas decoration, and I guess they're normally made of foils, but they're also very similar to, I don't know if you've ever had the straws on holiday with the pineapples on or whatever, that you open up and they've got like honeycomb shapes like that. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to try and make the one I make now out of a slightly plainer paper, because all these beautiful patterns are great, but it's not so easy to see. I've also got a simple version for you there. These make really great garlands, quite quick, quite easy. That's just, starts the same, but then it's glued together in a much simpler way, so you've just got a ball shape. So again, they're just made out of bits of magazine. Let's put this to one side so you can see them. There we go, and I'm going to choose some nice coloured bits of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need 16 circles we're going to do for each of these balls, but I'm going to do 4 at a time to make it a bit easier to work with. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to cut them in half. And then I've got 8 pieces of paper, and I'm going to make my circle shape by drawing around something I've already got. So roller tape, brilliant for this job. Got a nice consistent size circle in the middle. Anything will do, draw around a cup, whatever you've got, doesn't matter. Sorry about the noise, my neighbours are out in the garden working again, but there you go. There we go, draw myself a circle with my pencil, and I'm just going to hold all of these pieces of paper together and cut them out so they're all roughly the same shape. I've done this 8 at a time because it's hard to cut through any more than that as well. So you'll just need 2 lots of 8 to make a full ball. Get that out of the way. There's my 8 pieces. So your first option, I think there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I suddenly can't count. There we go, 8. 8 circles. Your first option with the simple ball, you just want to fold them all in half. I'm going to fold them all in half together roughly, and then I'm going to take them apart and fold them all again separately so you've got nice sharp folds. Because we like sharp folds. Makes life easier. There we go. With the simple ball, you want to think about which side of the paper you prefer, because one side is going to get stuck together and you'll only be able to see the other. So whichever image or colour you want that on the inside of your circle. So I'll just make sure that I've got the best bits on the inside. Oh, that's a really nice one. Let's have that on the inside. Nice bit tartan. There we go. Same again, let's put the tartan on the inside. Perfect. And you need a bit of scrap paper, which you should have plenty of lying around, just to glue on, just to save your surface, so you're not getting glue all over your table. So I am going to start with one semicircle, and I'm going to glue everywhere, all the way over. And all I'm going to do is lay the next one on top, matching up the creases, and I'm going to keep going until I've used up all 16 of my semicircles. There we go. That's the first 4, so you can see it's starting to take shape. I won't show you all 16 of them because I've already made one. So let's have a look at this one. When you have stuck together all 16 of your circles, you should have something like this with an open edge. Those two aren't stuck together, they're just single sheets, the rest are all doubled up. It's really worth waiting for these to dry. It'll be a bit floppy before it dries, but once the glue dries they get a little bit firmer and they're a bit easier to shape, so that you can separate all the separate layers and it looks a bit more round. Again, like the previous one, if you want you can leave it like that, so you can fold it flat and post it, or you can fold this one flat anyway, even if you do glue it together. The other thing I've done is just a little bit of sellotape there and a bit of string so I can hang it up, and then glue your last two together. Let's show you that, so that your sellotape's hidden and you've got double layers all the way around and you've got a nice bauble shape. This would be a good one to put on a garland. You could probably get away with doing less than 16 circles as well if you didn't want quite so many sections on each ball, but you could before you stick those last two together you could stick it onto a piece of string so that you've got a whole garland of these. That would look really nice hanging. So that's your simple way. I'm going to show you the next one, which is the honeycomb style one. I've still got 4 there, so let's find some more, do a few more. Again, need 16 total. Let's find 4 more pieces out of this catalogue. This catalogue's quite small, so if I do 4 pieces, 4 pages, and then fold them and then cut them in half, then I've got 8 layers, and then I do that twice. But whatever size your circle is, you can do this any size. I wouldn't do it too small because it might be a bit fiddly, but you can do it any size you want. So I'm drawing around my circle again. Cutting out, I'm trying to be as neat as I can, but they're not going to be all in a pile next to each other, so you're not going to notice if they're not perfect. There we go, holding it nice and tight. You can always put a clip on it if you're struggling to hold it all together. Once you've cut a little bit, clip all the paper together. There we go, and I'm going to do the same again, so I'm folding it in half, and then I'm going to go through again, make sure I've got everything I need. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All nice sharp folds. You'll be able to see both sides of the circles this time, so it doesn't matter if your favourite bits are on the inside or on the outside, because you'll be able to see them all anyway. So the gluing pattern is a little bit different for this one, a little bit more complicated, and you need to think about it so you don't get it wrong. So go nice and slow. I'm going to start with my first semicircle, and I'm going to show you where I'm going to put the glue. So I need to glue the semicircle together, so I've opened it up and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here, so 3 o'clock if you like. I'm trying to use the edge of my glue stick, just a little dab there. I don't know if you can see that, but I've literally put glue where that line is, maybe a little bit over, and then I'm going to fold it flat. The next bit of glue in, I need to glue along the edge. Let me draw you a line again. Along the edge, not very far in, not all the way, and then I've got 2 little dots of glue at, I don't know, 10 past, 20 past, maybe a little bit wider, there and there, and I'm using the edge of my glue stick. So there, all the way along the edge, and then I'm going to do the same as I did with the first ball and just line the edges up as best I can. Okay, so open that up. This time I'm just going to use a cotton bud. I've got cotton bud there, and I'm going to get a little bit of glue off here. That's helpful if your edge isn't very sharp on your glue stick, old nasty glue stick, and it should be easy for you to see where I'm gluing. So I've opened up my semicircle, so I've got the crease in the middle there, and I'll just put a little bit of glue at 3 o'clock, and then get a bit more, and then all the way along the edge there, a little bit there, a little bit there. I hope you can see that alright. And line my next one up. I'm going to do that one more time so I can show you. So open the semicircle, a little bit at 3 o'clock, close it up again, and then the next one I've got a little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom, and all the way along the edge, and then the next one's going on. Okay, should we do it one more time? Let's do it one more time. Open up the semicircle, a little bit at 3 o'clock, close it shut, and I'm not going to put any more on, I'm going to just stop gluing there. So if that was my last one, if I'd done 16, I'm going to leave that to dry. It's really important that you leave this to dry, because otherwise when you open it up it'll just pull itself apart, which it's going to do if I try and show you it. If you do find you've left it to dry for ages and there's still some bits not stuck together, let me show you the one that's dry, shall I? You can obviously go back and add a little bit more glue, and if you need to, so that's what it should look like when you've got your pile of 16 and it's nice and dry. You can open it up and you can add some glue. I had to do that with this one, just add some dots of glue in places where it hadn't quite stuck, and then you can put a paper clip on just to make sure they're going to stay together whilst they're drying. And this is the shape you should end up with. Again, I have just sellotaped a bit of string on the inside so that I can hang it. I've sellotaped it in the middle so that I can glue these two together if I want to. I would do that in exactly the same way I did all the layers, so a little bit of glue along the edge, and then because these are outside of the circles, not inside, you'd want a little bit of glue at the top and a little bit of glue at the bottom. I'm just going to paper clip them together to show you what that would look like if it had the glue on it, and that also means that, like with the others, I can flatten this and store it in between, using it for celebrations or hanging it up somewhere. So that's that one. A little bit more complicated, I'll take that one off. But as you can see, it's really nice results and really good fun. Really satisfying to make that one. So there you go, that's the second one. Shall we move on to the fans? I'll get all my bits of scrap paper out of the way. Got the fans. I absolutely love making these. I just think they're such good fun, so versatile. Use them for all sorts of stuff. Make them any size. You can layer them once you get the hang of that. Stick them inside one another, so you've got lots of different colours, patterns. Make hundreds of these, dead easy. Hang them together. Hang them on your Christmas tree. make a garland out of them again. Anything you like, lots of options. So let's get started with them. So to make these fans, we are using magazine paper again. I found myself another nice shape, and I'm going to another nice sheet with some good colours on it, and I'm going to use the straight edges that I know are straight because that makes life easier. I am going to mark 5 centimetres and 10 centimetres because I want my strips to be 5 centimetres wide, and I'm probably going to use the whole width, the whole height of this magazine page. So cut your strips, draw a line, cut it with a pair of scissors if that's what you've got. I'm using my knife again. I could probably make 2 of these out of this piece of paper actually. If you want to make bigger ones, you can do that, but then strips of paper need to be a lot longer than they are wide. So let's find out what this is. About 30 centimetres, that's perfect. So this one's 5 centimetres wide and then 30 centimetres tall. If you want to do a bigger one, say a 10 centimetre strip for example, you'd probably need twice as many. So 4 30 centimetre lengths, something like that. But 2 is fine to make this size. 5 centimetres by 30 centimetres should be plenty. So the way that we're going to get these creases in, I will show you, is by folding. You can measure them, mark them and score them with an old ballpoint pen or something if you'd prefer to do that. It doesn't really work if you just fold them by hand like you might have done before. You've probably done this before, called it a fan. It's a concertina fold or an accordion fold. I've got a worksheet here if that helps you figure out what I'm doing, because it can be quite hard to follow, especially with all these patterns on the paper. So I'll show you how to do it. That's there to help you out, and we'll do it twice so that you can make sure that you've got it right. So we'll start by folding in half, and then in half again, and then in half again from the other side. Everything's symmetrical, so whatever you do on one side, you're doing exactly the same on the other. So I've got 4 sections now, and I'm going to half these again. So that one's in half, that one's in half, and then I'm going to end up with 8. There, where we're going. There I am. Every fold you make, there should be a crease that the edge of your paper meets, and that tells you that you're in the right place. So I've got 1 2 3 4. I've actually done that one wrong. 5 6. It's okay though, because we need a crease there anyway. There we go. So we're 8 sections. So we're here. So we've halved it, and then we've halved those halves, and then we've halved those halves again. And then I need to do it one more time. Half all those sections. So I'm going to go up from there. It is a pain if you make a mistake, but when you go along and fold all these up into a fan shape, as long as you know which one's right, you should be able to get it. So they're all halved again on that side. So do the same at the top. Every time I'm finding a crease that's already there. No, that one's not right. There we go. There's one more section left to fold. And then we've got, how many are we going to have ended up with? 16. There we go. But you can see that. 16 even creases. And then what I'm going to do is turn them into a fan shape. So 1 point's up, 1 point's down. Using the creases I've already made, just flattening them, making them nice and sharp. All the way along. Oh. There we go. So there's my first one. And I'm going to do that all again. I might do it a little bit quicker this time, but I'm going to do it twice so that you definitely know where your folds are going. So folding in half, top to bottom. This looks like it's got some tasty pancakes or something on it. There we go. And then the half's going half again. It doesn't matter too much which side of your paper is up when you're doing this. If you've got a favourite side, don't worry too much because these work both ways up, which is nice. So you don't have to think about which side is the better one. There we go. Half again. Half again. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we're going to half all these, so we've got 16. One's in half. 2. Finding the crease that's already there. There we go. As I say, you might find a way to do this that you prefer. This is just the way I like to do it. So I know they're the same, and I know they're all neat and even. There you go. One more. And same again. I'm going to go along, make that fan. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Perfect. Now my next job is to stick those together. I'm going to get a scrap piece of paper so that I don't get glue everywhere. And I'm going to glue 2 sections of this because of the way the folds are. You need to overlap 2 bits, so over a crease. There we go. Neat as you can. And I'm going to fold it all back up again. Now I've got one long fan strip. There you go. My next job is to stick this together in the centre, so along one edge, which makes the middle of the fan. I'm going to do that with my glue stick. I'm going to squeeze it all together, find a nice flat edge, decide which one's better. They're both pretty good. That one will do. And I'm going to use my glue stick to stick all these edges. Make sure you've not missed any bits. You can be quite generous, but you don't want tons on. Just want to know that there's some on all of it. There we go. Fab. And then I'm going to tape it together just to keep it nice and secure. I've got some washi tape here that is thinner than the width of my fans, which is really, really helpful because it means I don't have to trim it. But if you've got thicker tape, that's fine. You just have to trim it so it doesn't stick over the edges. So there you go. I've taped that nice and tight. And I'm also going to put a clip on there to hold it strong whilst it's drying. If you've not got one of them, the paper clip might do it, or you can put it in between a couple of books on the bookshelf with the glue end sticking out so you don't get any glue on it, on your books, or put it between a couple of things, whatever you need to do, just to keep it nice and tight whilst it's drying. You need to wait for this to dry. Like with the balls, it's really important to be patient, because if you try and finish this whilst it's not dry, the whole thing will just fall apart. So this one is dry, so you can see I've used masking tape here that I've just cut to the width of my fan, and I've had that dry in for a while. And then all I've done is I've sellotaped a loop of string onto one of the sides, and then you have a choice like with the others. you can stick it together and just have it like that as a finished piece, or you can hold it together with a paper clip whilst you're using it, and then you can fold it up again and use it another time without it getting damaged. So that's really cool. It means that you can use these over and over again. Hang them together, use them as a garland, hang them on your tray, make big ones, make tiny ones. There's all sorts of things you can do with these. I love making these fans. There's also loads of colours and patterns you can find in recycled paper. And the nice thing about all of these being made out of junk mail or magazines or books or whatever is that when they get tatty, when you finish with them, you can just stick them straight in the recycling bin. And they're totally recyclable, which is amazing. So I hope that you've been able to follow along and make something cool today. I'd love to see if you've had a go at any of them. I'm gonna hang all these on my Christmas tree, I think. Thanks very much for joining me again. I'll see you soon.